Stephen Michael Schelling Jr. is a National Merit Finalist, a member of the Cum Laude Society, the National Honor Society, the Spanish Honor Society, and Nu Alpha Theta. He is an AP Scholar with distinction and was awarded the Yale Book Award. He was a member of the Orange County Math Contest Championship Team and received awards of excellence in AP Calculus BC, AP English Language, AP Calculus AV, Comparative Religions, Honors English 9, Honors Spanish 2, Personal Fitness, Honors Algebra 2, and Honors World History 9. Stephen has been a member of the cross-country and track teams for 4 years, serving as captain of the cross-country team in his senior year. He's been a member of the jazz band and the strings program and volunteered as a musical accompanist for many different school productions. He has achieved the rank of Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts of America and has also spent many hours volunteering for the Boys and Girls Club at his church and for the Trinity Chapel program. Stephen will attend the Georgia Institute of Technology in the fall. Please welcome Stephen Michael Schelling Jr., valedictorian.
Before I begin, I think it would be best for everyone if I take a moment and address the elephant in the room. Bring it up on your poster. Webster's dictionary defines cliché as a trite phrase or expression, something that has become overly familiar or commonplace. Used in a sentence, for example. Opening a speech with a definition from Webster's dictionary is a rhetorical cliché deserving of a swift paddling to the backside. Direct quote. In the words of my namesake, Mr. Stephen Kruger, salutations, young scholars, and salutations to parents, friends, relatives, and faculty as well. Through a series of seemingly unrelated events involving a lot of studying, mental anxiety, and not being invited to parties, I'm thrilled to have your attention forced on me. I've envisioned giving this speech, imagining being able to wear this medal, pondering what I might say to all of you. And now here I am, and here you are. And nothing seems too different, does it? I was hoping that after 4 years of aspiring to be the valedictorian, I would have thought of something life-changing to talk about, something that all of you would remember at our 50-year reunion. But after an hour of staring at a blank Word document, I realized that I had managed to outdo even myself in procrastination, setting a new 46-month record without a single idea point behind my disproportionately low. But then I figured no one really appreciated Van Gogh until after he was dead, so I shouldn't worry so much. Now before I go on, let me just make something crystal clear. I hate cliches. I hate cliches more than Grant Gordon hates cargo shorts, or Mrs. Spiker hates political correctness, or Jack O'Connor hates not being turned up. So much that 2 years ago I made it my self-righteous prerogative to combat them in a bi-weekly Facebook segment of my own creation entitled Stephen's Overused Word of the Week, featuring such words as Lego, classic, awkward, and wow. The segment was well received, but I digress. Avoiding cliché was probably my biggest priority when trying to write the speech at first, but with great reluctance, I realized that clichés are clichés because they have an inherent truth in them. As the great poet George Watsky once said, while stereotypes begin with a grain of truth, cliches begin with a boulder. I wanted to avoid the obvious, never give up and reach for the stars. But I figured a cliche might be the best course of action, because a cliche usually contains all the things that we want in any ceremony that involves moving on. A positive affirmation of the good times, a sprinkling of hope for the future, a dash of nostalgia. I thought, and please pardon the cliche, then it hit me. The little things. Now, what are the little things? Great question, Stephen. The little things are the only real things we have, the things that make life worth getting out of bed for. They're the constants in our lives that make our lives our lives. And when we're old and tired and sitting around in our South Florida condo on the small fortune we accrued due to the successes that followed our unparalleled education at Trinity, we can remember the little things from the old days and the less old days and the current days, look around at all those little things and think, Man, Stephen was right. Life's pretty good. Allow me to share with you a brief anecdote. Several years ago, my family took a vacation up to Chicago, the city of my birth. While there, we stopped by the house of a college buddy of my dad, who invited us to stay with him for a couple of days and take up the speedboat that he kept on the lake that bordered his backyard. Despite my puzzlement at why we had traveled all the way to suburban Indiana to ride a speedboat on a lake, I donned my slightly too large swim trunks and most stylish rash guard in preparation for the tubing marathon in which I was about to partake. I leapt into the water and swam to the tube attached to the back of the boat on which my two younger brothers were already perched. My mother was sitting at the stern of the boat, charged with spotting my brothers and me and ensuring our safety, while my father was commandeering our vessel. Before I continue, you should know something about my father. When he drives boats, he goes hard. Before I even have a chance to get a firm grip, my dad takes off in a flurry of white water. I'm flung back a few inches, but manage to maintain my grasp on the tube. And then the donuts begin. At this point, the centripetal force becomes too great for my spindly, delicate hands, and my loose grip is broken to the point where I am now desperately clinging to the back of the tube as water rushes into my swim trunks. I look to my right, and my brothers have somehow been forced into a very painful-looking upside-down position. I attempt to give the thumb-down sign to my mother, indicating that I need my dad to slow down. But at that moment in time, she is, understandably of course, distracted from her duty of keeping me from drowning by the pretty houses on the lake. I attempt to yell, but the drone of the engine is too loud for my feeble, prepubescent voice. I frantically attempt to pull myself back onto the tube when I at last notice the fire hose-esque stream of wine flowing into my shorts. I'm now desperately holding on with one hand, while holding my thumb down on the other, while the force of a speedboat is pulling my pants down. Many of you may be asking right now, Stephen, why didn't you just let go? My response? It was probably a Freudian thing, I don't know. My pants have now slipped down into my mid-thighs, but my mom is showing no sign of acknowledging the plight of her eldest son. The slipping continues. Knees, calves, ankles, toes, big toe. I am now growing desperate and visibly distraught as my pacey posterior begins to burn in the heat of the sun. At last, my mom notices my plight and calls out to my father to cut the engine. I ashamedly readorn my trousers. I tell you this story because it is one of my favorite memories with my family. And not just because I'm a closet nudist, but because it is absolutely rife with little things. There's my mom, who's just enjoying her vacation by admiring the beautiful architecture. Classic mom. She likes houses, it's just a little thing about her. And then there's my dad, who always drives the speedboat way too fast, every time. It's just a little thing about him. And my brother's upside down. That's actually how I envision them all the time. And then there's me, the butt, no pun intended, of the joke of life. We're all just a bunch of punchlines, and those little amusing moments and memories are why we keep clinging to the tube with our shorts hanging from our single big toe on this speedboat ride called life. Some of us have loved it here, like Abraham Freifeld and Charlie Soderstrom. You guys can pay me for the shadows after the ceremony. Some of us have loved it less here, but I hope we've all been able to take the little things from this place because those things are ours. When I'm bummed out because it's a Friday night and I'm a broke college student and I can't find any girls because I'm an engineering major at the Georgia Institute of Technology. I'll tell how Hunter Thomas's two-step as he renounced his candidacy for student body president. And that magical night of senior pranking and then unpranking in the quad at 11 p.m. Single majestic tires stuck on top of the flagpole served as our only trophy when the sun rose the next morning. And Dylan Malugian accidentally putting a chicken biscuit in the microwave with the metal foil still on it. And playing Freebird every year after Quad Fest, and Pam Stenzel and her school-wide STD talks, and The Rock, and detour concerts at dive bars where your best friends are in the band. And Powder Puff, hashtag swear free. All that stuff is mine and yours. So go. Live, and try your best to remember the little things, because you might just realize one day that they're actually the big things. Thank you to Robert Brault for giving me that bombshell of a quote to go out on. And thank you parents, friends, faculty, and family of the class of 2013. As Elle Woods said so poetically at the end of Legally Blonde, we did it.